Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. I want to continue on the process of trying to teach you uh, the kind of alignment that we have to remain in to be um, um, connected to the Melchizedek axis. And I want to do this on a slower pace because some of these concepts are so immense. They're such big gulp for us to swallow that I want to go slowly over some of these concepts to allow us to unpack them correctly. That way we can begin to dive in because our 3D awareness, the idea of being an aspect of Melchizedek and a conscious aspect of Melchizedek at that is a gigantic thing for us to accept, for any of us to accept, because we're seeing ourselves not extending as we're looking for 3D lenses to the five senses. We don't extend to the edge of our skin. But in meditation, in prayers, and in connection, we extend way beyond that. The idea that consciousness is only neuron net connection that exists in our brain is actually laughable because consciousness is a lot more than that. And more importantly, it is actually spatially located, not just in the brain, but all around us. Because if I were to ask you to close your eyes and to think of your mother, or think of the love of your life, or think of what you had for breakfast yesterday or lunch yesterday, and as you close your eyes and thought of all of these things, and I were to ask you, locate them in space around you, you would feel them in a volume around you. That volume is a torsion field or a morphogenic field. And the torsion field of the Guardian Alliance of Light is the neutrality that can be created by acclimating our consciousness to these fields, these multiple fields that exist all around us. Also, as a reminder, in the new model for quantum mechanics, the fundamental particles that creates the entire universe are actually about 18 fields that are like wave-like fluidic morphogenic awareness or morphogenic almost like energies are almost invisible, but nonetheless present, like magnetism that wraps around us. And what I'm proposing, what I'm saying is that, and what quantum physics is actually saying as well, is that consciousness exists in those fields. As a matter of fact, an anesthesiologist who also did some work on quantum physics, there was a proposition that was done years ago that was saying that the brain must be connected to the quantum field. And for whatever reason, scientists kept saying it's not possible because to have quantum field that's stable, you need to have very cold temperature. But it seems like the brain is too warm and too wet with temperature that has to be 98 degrees, the normal body temperature, that it couldn't hold a quantum state. However, there is a scientist and anesthesiologist who discovered that, although it was proposed that this was the case, he discovered that when he gives gas to somebody trying to put them under to lose consciousness, he realized that the gas themselves, if you are to breathe them and walk around in normal condition, no one would lose consciousness. The gas or inert, they are not typically connected. They can't allow you to lose consciousness. For whatever reason, when you put a mask around somebody's face and you have them breathe them, it appears that they start losing awareness and lose consciousness. So the inverse may be true, that if you remove the gas, it brings back consciousness. And what he proposed is that there is a network of what are called microtubulin. They are ring-like structures that are made with a specific molecule that create these tubes around every cell, the mitochondria of every cell in everywhere in our body. It's a vast, intricate network that thousands and thousands of tubes that are interconnected to each other. And it appears that the gas, as your, let's say, xenon or any kind of anesthetic gas, when you inhale it, it travels to these microtubulin and cause them, and they've proven it, it caused them to change frequency and vibration and to actually become almost neon, not neon, but luminescent. And when it becomes luminescent, different quality of our consciousness exists. So the scientists on, and this is still cutting edge science. They're doing research on this. So it appears that the proposition that was done by this very famous mathematician called Penrose, who proposed that the brain and the consciousness is connected to the quantum field, they are correct. And I know this as a deep meditator and as someone who leads people into meditation, into what I call the blessed field. I know that field to be similar to what scientists are describing the quantum field to be like. There are multiple fluidic and dynamic forces as you're in that blessed field that you sense floating about you. It's all benevolent, but they are different. They are not the same. The quality, the frequency, and the vibration of them are not the same. And they are fluidic and they are moving all around us. And when you're in that state of awareness, you are now the microtubulin in you to breath control, to proper ancient teachers of meditation teaches, which is the pranayama, the breath control. Through that process, you're able, by holding the breath a certain way, releasing it, or overcharging it with some kind of energy, short breath, and then deep breath, short, whichever the case may be. The pranayama principle is it will change the frequency of the microtubulin network and cause you to go to a transcendental state where you connect to a very specific part of the quantum field. And that quantum field is what controls everything in the universe. That end up being the fundamental principle that creates and manifests everything. So what I'm saying is that we should be aware that this, hold on, give me a second. Let me let this person know I'm in class. Okay, so the microtubule network have very specific quality, and we can get into the detail. It's for the geek in me to try to explain this to you, but it's to kind of like, it's the place where spiritual awareness and what the knowledge we have when we're in the quantum, in the blessed field, connects with actual science. Okay. Now, that awareness of having these various fields all around us is deeply connected to the torsion field of the Guardian Alliance of Light. the multiple torsion field, whereas the first guardian comes in at the bottom of our feet with an energy that's counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of our feet, moving through our core and central axis, exiting outside of our head. And when that exit happened, that first guardian allows you to become aware not only of your core and your central axis and the counter-rotating energy, but the entire volume of the morphogenic field or quantum field that it's trying to create all around you. And it's a field with a very specific quality, which is field of light, protection, and neutrality. Then what happened that follows is that the energy above our head now extend further. This is now Pierre in 3D calling upon the support of the guardian lines of light, and then they come in, they offer to gift us their shield of light and protection and band of neutrality. The shield is created around, above my 3D body. My 3D body has chakra 1 to 7, and above me is seated another etheric and higher version of me in 4D. And that higher version of me in 4D has in it chakra 8 to 15. And when the first guardian comes in, the first guardian is a fourth dimensional collective. They come in to the bottom, to the core of the earth, counter-rotating their energy through my central axis, almost like a giant corkscrew that spins around and open my core, remove all blockages, and then suddenly it goes all the way past my 7th chakra, and it continues 8th chakra, 9th chakra, all the way to chakra 15, to the entire 4th dimensional body. And at that moment, it now bends the filament back, the filament wrapped around not only me, myself in 4D, but myself also in 3D, and all of it is wrapped around into the back to the core, the center of the earth, and it creates now the first torsion field of light, protection, and neutrality. Are we okay so far? Is this clear? Because I'm going to go slow. I want you to get this. So I'm painting a slow picture because I want all of you to get it. So what then occurs is that above chakra 15 is my 5th dimensional body. The furtherly, the more, another more etheric version of Pierre, like the Russian Nostradeg, another version of me that's even more etheric, that contains in its chakra 16 to 22, which is my 5th dimensional chakras. Now, this time the guardian comes in from that level. It comes from chakra 22. And the guardian that exists in that realm offer their shields of light and protection and band of neutrality, and they drop now clockwise rotating axis passing through me to myself in 4D, then in myself in 3D, and then into the core of the earth. And when it arrives there, the filament wrapped around again and go back to chakra, top of chakra 22, creating now the 2nd torsion field, rotating the opposite direction. And of course, what happened next is that as this process continues, the 3rd guardian that will come down the bottom of our feet from the core of the earth comes in from chakra 23, which is in my 4th dimensional body. It will go from chakra 23 to chakra 29. So it starts at the bottom of my feet, counter-rotating, and it moves in through my core, like again a corkscrew, passing through my sorry. The third guardian, the third guardian that comes in is actually my sixth dimensional, not my foot, my sixth dimensional body, and it's chakra 23 to 29, and it begins at the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through, passing the fifth dimensional babushka or version of me, which is chakra 16 to 22. Then passing the fourth dimensional chakra that's nested inside, which is chakra 15 to 8. And then the seventh dimensional chakra, which is chakra 7 to 1. And then all of the entire system it moves all the way through, all the way out, and then it creates a torsion field again. And this process continues until it goes all the way back to God. Every step of the way, the 7 chakras are there. A thinner and more energetic and more expensive aspects of me with the 7, another 7 chakra on top of another 7 on top of it keeps going up, and the guardians that exist in those dimensions come in at each level, and they offer, as an act of generosity, love, compassion, and mercy, the light, protection, and neutrality that they know. Any questions, any comments? Now, it's not an easy, it is easy because it's energetic and its frequency, its vibration. You just have to pay attention to it and learn the simple mechanics. But if you are trying to get in the minutiae of it, you could be there for hours. Okay? So the first guardian that comes in is a series of a member of the Guardian Alliance of Light that exists in 4D and that have achieved conscious immortality in the fourth dimension. The version of myself that has in it my own chakra 8 to 15, because I'm not conscious of that part of me, I am still disconnected to what it may be doing. And it may be out of whack for a moment and not be neutral. So therefore, the other celestial that are fourth dimensional masters that have achieved neutrality in 4D, member of the Guardian Alliance of Light, member of the Melchizedek Order of Neutrality, offers their shield of light and protection around that part of me. And if they're doing it around my fourth dimensional body, it will extend into my 3D and wrap around it. So the quantum fluidic wave or morphogenic wave that exists, where neutrality exists in 4D, is now grounded around me. Then once the second guardian comes in from the top of my head, counter-rotating, rotating the opposite way, that chakra 8 to 15, it is now that second collective. It's a fifth dimensional collective that comes in and create a torsion field on top of the fourth dimensional body of mine and my 3-dimensional body to include and encompass all of it and create all around everything that's below it, torsion field of light protection and band of neutrality. And once the sixth dimensional collective comes in, which is the next collective, the third collective, the third guardian, coming from the core of the earth, they will do the exact same thing. They will encompass all of the chakra, all my chakra and my babushka that may be the version of myself that's in the sixth dimension that may be slightly out of whack because I am not consciously neutral in that dimension yet. These being all consciously immortal in 60, they offer temporarily as a way to entrain me and reteach me how to become neutral in that realm. They offer their neutrality to cover me and to allow me to share with me their generosity. It's a gift of kindness and generosity. And they offer it to me, and I allow it to come in, I accept it, and now it covers not only my body in 6D, it covers my body in 5D, it covers my body in 4D, and my body in 3D. All of it is enveloped. Does that make any sense so far? Is this giving more clarity for any of you?
Thank you, Pierre. Question that just came in, sorry for the siren. Why not just go to the 15th, the top, well, the 12th collective of guardians and have them do the torsion field of neutrality there, that it will all seep down through all of the 12.
So when you're reading a book, do you go to the last page and read the last page for before? You can't do this because you don't have the access to connect to that part of yourself. It is a stretch for me to go to 3D into 4D.
Yes.
Just to accept the fact of what that awareness is like and what myself emancipating into that realm, what it actually would feel or is like. I have to be in a state of surrender and, more importantly, of listening to be able to pick up the nuances that exist in the microtubulin and the blessing and the gifts that I'm receiving through that morphogenic field in the fourth dimension. I cannot, it's too, the leap is too far for me to jump. The rift is too far apart. For me in 3D to say, I'm going to go to the 12th guardian and just ask the 12th guardian to create this.
I understand. So it sounds like what you're saying is one builds on the previous.
Yes.
So you can't skip go. You have to start at the beginning and build gradually up to the 12th.
That's correct. That's correct. It's like saying, like, for example, in the Kundalini rising experience, the Kundalini is the Sushumna that's wrapped like a snake around the spine, the base of the spinal cord. And the right way for the Kundalini to rise is to slowly rise over time through meditation, pranayama, and emotional adjustment and correction, karmic correction, and all of that. It's like saying, well, I want the snake to just rise and go to the top of my head and give me illumination all at once. That's not the way it works. In fact, the people who have attempted this have gone insane. The consequences could be dire because when the energy comes and comes too fast, it's like taking a medicine and purging too quickly. Too much light, too much information all at once, your consciousness will not be able to handle it.
Okay, thank you. I understand.
You see what I'm saying? All of us have had this, at least an experience or two with trying to purge something and doing it too quickly. It was Plato in his example of the cave that said that if a group of men were to grow up for their entire life in a cave and in complete darkness and never seen light before, and one day somebody would miraculously come in and rip the roof of the cave off, the sun, the light of the sun would cause more than half of them to go insane. They would not be able to handle it. So abrupt change that was so dramatic, we can't handle it.
And that's why Lord Melchizedek is preparing us gradually
Yes.
in these years, because the transition would be brutally destructive to us.
Yeah, yes, yes. And this is the reason why also that all these crazy things are happening in the world right now. Because the galactic equator crossing is going to be far worse than everything that we're collectively experiencing. So by experiencing all these losses and all of these crazy out of whack behavior from social, political, financial, all kind, as we are witnessing all of these things that are happening, we are being, our consciousness is slowly being tempered into accepting a transcendental perception of what we think in 3D reality is destructive, only to find out it's a teaching module trying to teach us how to get in touch with a transcendental awareness and certainty. So that when the galactic equator crossing happens, maybe 7 years or 10 years from now, we are actually, we have trained our consciousness so much that we're actually able to say, no, I'm going to remain, because the level of our chaos, if you read the channeling that came on January 1st from Lord Melchior about the future in 2025, the level of chaos that's going to create, and he kept saying, do not trust your five senses. Do not trust them. You need to be indoors, if a curtain drawn. Do not go outside. Sounds and howlings. And the funny thing is that when I was doing the channeling, I could hear it. For a moment, I could hear the sound that he's talking about. Terrifying visions, all kinds of things are going to be happening. And if you trust it and you look at it, and so it's, but because we would have been tempered by all kind of experiences that made us trust or inner knowing. We need to lean on that inner knowing because we have been slowly trained into it. Whereas if it were to happen all at once, none of us would be able to safely go through that passage. So the change and the transformation that needs to happen slowly and gradually. This is the way consciousness learns. Although at this moment, because of all the chaotic stuff, the fires, the drought, the volcanoes, the political, social, et cetera, that are happening for every one of us. Every one of us are facing some sort of like unusual experiences. And so as all of these things are taking place, we are being asked now, we have to be very aware that it is for our benefit ultimately, because we have to learn how to see all of this that's happening around us as illusions, as a way to hold us in 3D, whereas we have to elevate into a fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional, and so on and so forth, higher bodies. So that when the moment of the galactic equator crossing, we can be aligned to that awareness and completely surrendered into it. Any questions, any comments? I'm kind of wondering aloud how deep I need to go on the galactic equator crossing. Let's leave that for now. Let's talk about the axis, okay? But we'll leave the galactic equator crossing and its mechanic and everything else for another day. This connection from where we are standing and to the next piece, the next piece, and the next piece, step by step, every run in the ladder, run by run, we're climbing. As we're doing this, we should be very aware that by the time we get to the throne room of God, we will have simply reassemble ourselves in a way that will allow us to have direct access to the rod of Melchizedek or the Antakarana of Lord Melchizedek itself. Because we are all overlit, or the other term you could use is we are all subset to Lord Melchizedek. Melchizedek is the lens that manifested and created our universe. Our universe, whatever was existing in the quantum field, in the fluidic, uncreated, original, unmoved mover, pass through a lens or filter to allow it to begin to precipitate gradually into dimensional reality. That lens is our Melchizedek. And it's not just one Melchizedek. I've said this to you before. There are multiple universes. Even now, scientists or spiritual people have been saying this for years, and everybody thought that we were crazy. Scientists are saying this because the Webb telescope is beginning to discover things in our universe or in the edge of the universe that are older than the Big Bang Theory and the version of our universe which says that everything started at the Big Bang, which means that there was another previous universe or still existing universe that's beyond the one that we know as the Big Bang. So it's proof that there were preceding universes. And what I'm saying is that every universe will have a different Melchizedek or a different lens through which God is trying to express itself in dimensional existence through a very specific frequency and vibration. In our own universe, that frequency and that vibration is courage. Lord Melchizedek wants all of us to evolve. We descended and we're going to evolve back to courage, to us having the resiliency and the courage to say, I am going to be the salmon that's going to swim against the stream. And I'm going to have the courage to go the opposite way, to go back to source. So this is the lens for a universe. There are other universes that might be hope, that might be mercy, that might be gratitude, that might be other things. But for us, it's courage. Now, the other part of this conversation that I want us to do to understand, I'm not going to go through the whole torsion field, although we're going to do the torsion field, the new version of the torsion field at the for closing meditation. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. What I'm going to do is that I want to talk a little bit about the removal of the obstacles that are keeping myself and you wrapped up in 3D and being reactive to the chaos that exists in the 3D world. Let's say, for example, I can tell you, for example, that on a personal level, all of us have karma. And that karma is connected to, and it's in Hebrew, it's translated as tikkun. And tikkun actually means repair or correction. It is not punishment. It's not revenge. It's not retaliation. It's the matter of repair. And what's going on right now with all of the events that are taking place around the world, people who are losing their home because of fire or flood, or people who are losing all kinds of things, and businesses, or the disclosures that are happening, because the frequency toward the new earth, the bridge that will take us toward the new earth, it's truth, authenticity, and transparency. And those lens is causing a lot of individuals who had secrets for their secrets to be revealed. Those secrets are getting exposed. People are seeing through All of the things that they were hiding, they're seeing it. So what I'm saying is that and when that exposure shows up, and if you love secrets and you love hiding, and all of a sudden all of the secrets are revealed, you feel shattered, you feel broken, and your identity is destroyed. And then you have to recreate a new identity if you need to go on living. This is an accelerated version of your karma. What's happening right now, the Galactic Region Council in all past channeling have called this the quickening. The term they've used literally is called the quickening, meaning it's an acceleration of karma. And I've done classes before about this, and we have to be very careful. For the reasons I mentioned before, sometimes our karma and the correction that we need to make, or the karma and the acceleration, the quickening comes too fast. And if it's coming too fast, we have to somehow slow down the purging, because the karma is a way to cleanse and to elevate your consciousness. But if for example, you have 3 or 4 things that are happening as a exposure or disclosure or loss, let's say, for example, you lost somebody that you know that you care for very deeply, and you lost some part of your business, and at the same time, there is a secret that you are holding, that's all, and all of it is happening all at once, it's going to be overwhelming. You will not be able to process this, because the exposure to all of these things that you held to be your identity are going to shatter who you thought you were. So the way I am asking you to deal with this is to ask for the proper spiritual support to help us process karma at a different rate. And the way we do this is that through the mala beads and the mantra Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasam Gate Bodhisattva. As you repeat it, it translates into gone, gone, gone over, fully gone over, awake, or be enlightened. It is done. And what you're asking to be gone, it's the karma or your attachment to things that will make your karma or the transformation or the transmutation that's happening, because it's about correction, too difficult for you to accept. You're asking for your attachments to all of these things to be gone, gone, gone over, fully gone over, and then to be awake and accept enlightenment. The other thing you should be doing as well is that you should be watching, be very careful about what you're exposing your consciousness to. Because the more out there you are, the more you're engaging with many things. For example, you're watching the news and the media, you're exposing yourself to all kinds of bombardment, you're having conversation, particularly political and social conversation with a lot of people, because people have different opinions. A lot of people are polarized and radicalized, and you're having these kind of emotional fight. And as this is happening, you're going to trigger multiple karmic things for you. Better you pray, you say your mantra, and you remain in your peace, and you basically remain in prayer. Because the more in prayer you are, the less severe the touchdown of the karma will be. The less difficult it will be for you to accept the transcendental awareness that behind the pain and the suffering or the impact that the karma initially created. If you're purging too fast, you should ask also the karmic board, which is composed of the divine director, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Pallas Athena, Lady Portia, Lady Nada, Lady Liberty, and Elohim Cyclopia. The 8-member panel, because they help us when we're moving to the difficult moment where karma is being accelerated too quickly. They actually help us because some of them are connected to the energy of compassion and mercy. Others are connected, for example, Pallas Athena is the goddess of truth. Lady Justice, Lady Justice was a member of that team as well, is connected to the idea of dispensing justice. Lady Portia was also connected to the idea of dispensing justice correctly. Lady Nada she's probably the most self-effacing ascended master that ever existed. And she wants to remain blameless and to support and help everybody. So you have, and all of these, except for the divine director, everyone else in that body is female. And there's a reason for this, is that the female energy hold a deeper compassion. So when you have, for example, things that have been repeated challenges for you in your life right now, and that seems to be at a point of crisis at this moment, that seems to be overwhelming and that you can't handle, ask the karmic board for help, to help you process the karma better, to help you understand the lesson that you need to learn. Because the moment the correction is made and the consciousness is shifted, it's not about punishment. It's not about, if I slap you, you need to slap me back. That's not what it is. It's not an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This is not what it is. It's correction and repair. And once the correction and the repair is made, I don't need to suffer anymore. The karma is balanced. It is done. And I can proceed with something else. And that something else, since the crossing doesn't happen, it's going to be another karma. Some other thing. Because, old prophet from the Caribbean, behind mountains, there are more mountains. So once you deal with a correction, you will find another event or something else is going to show up for another correction, another opportunity to keep tempering and sculpting your verticality and your rectitude to the celestial axis. And so the process will continue. There's going to come a point as you do this where you're going to basically have corrected 51% of your karma. And when that happens, things are going to get easier. And here's the thing about this. When I say this, a lot of people get depressed. Oh my God, I have to keep on doing this. What happens is that once you start doing it for a few times, it becomes very easy. It's like riding a bicycle. You know exactly what to do with the process. I need to call the karmic board. I need to make sure I don't expose myself to a situation where I'm going to be antagonized. Okay, there's a lot of people who are sharing things on mass media. Friends, family member, particularly me as a teacher, they keep sending me stuff. Have you seen this before? And a lot of time, this stuff is not in alignment with where I'm going. What I mean to say by this, there are 3 things that you need to watch out for. When you're watching or reading these kind of things that people are saying, and by the way, all of these items that I have received have a kernel of truth in it. There's a part of it that is actually true, or that is triggering a pet peeve that you have about how the world is functioning at this moment, or rather is not functioning correctly. And whatever that pet peeve is, as you become aware of this, you see it, it gets you in. It's like you getting hooked as a fish. It gets you in. And what happened then once that is presented, following that will be a presentation or a way of twisting that truth or finesse that truth into a gigantic fear. That's the first part. So 3 things to watch out for. Is what I'm being shown and presented. 2, is it generating a fear in me? Second item, or is it further being finessed into demonizing an individual or a small group of people as being the parties responsible for generating this fear or derailing the planet or derailing things to a point of no return and demonizing these people? If that is the case, the final part, the third part, is the information I'm being presented is asking me now to go out and destroy, become an anarchist and destroy existing institutions or existing things in the world because of what they have presented to me right now. And if all 3 things are true, you're being brainwashed. It's a way to trigger your own karma and cause you to derail. And if you fall for it, that's on you. And I've watched many people whose characters I could have vouched for in a matter of a few months completely and dramatically change and become anarchists and trying to scream and yell about that or the other. And we have to be very careful because it's by the grace of God that I was able to catch it and not be them. That's why I have mercy for people in that state, because it's by the grace of God. It's because I'm praying all the time that I'm not them. I was able to catch it and realize these 3 things. Is it creating fear? Is it demonizing a collective as being the scapegoat and responsible for the fear that they are painting? And thirdly, is it asking me to go out there and destroy everything that there is? If that is the case, this is brainwashing 101. And if you fall for it, and now, of course, there is an Archon collective that's behind all this. If you fall for it, it's on you. I'm warning you and I'm giving you the information. You do with it what you want. Because you are grown, you're going to select which reality you're going to go into. Any questions, any comments? I know some of you are dealing with health crisis. Others are dealing with other kind of karma, financial. Some of you are dealing with relocation, homelessness because of weird, bizarre circumstances that are around you. Some of you are deeply and profoundly depressed. Whatever it may be, if you include in there the Lord and the ladies of karma, it's going to change for you things dramatically. Again, the divine director, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Pallas Athena, Lady Portia, Lady Nada, it's not Lady Liberty, Lady Justice, and Elohim Cyclopia. They would be more than happy to assist you as long as they're seeing that you're making the effort to let go of certain pattern and surrender and they will help you lift it. Now, we had that experience last Wednesday. We collectively gathered together to work on the fires that were burning in Los Angeles. And I have put that stuff on YouTube already. I have spread the information on mass media already. I want you to take a look at it, because that entire hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half is me being my Melchizedek self, because it wasn't me that was doing this. It's me aligned into my Melchizedek identity. All of these things, including the stepping in of the Lord and the ladies of karma, was not preconceived. And the way the healing came in, by calling the group body of Los Angeles, asking for forgiveness, and calling the prayer to the spiritual hierarchy and everybody, including Lady Gaia, the Earth Elohims, the four elementals, gnomes, sylph, undine, salamanders, elf, fairies, nymphs. All of these things were not premeditated. They didn't exist as a frontal lobe awareness. It was just a channeling where the information was being accessed on the fly as I was talking. And my bigger self, my higher self, came in. And the benefit for me is that it reminded me, and I was not, although I was doing a whole bunch of stuff to balance karma, including the Gate Paragate mantra, the Prajna Paramitra mantra. I was doing all kinds of things, but I was not calling on the Lord and the ladies of karma. I was not calling on the karmic board. And I'm realizing how beneficial and how important they are. So whatever challenge that you're facing in the transit, as we're moving from one, from where we are in 3D into higher consciousness, whatever is the anvil or the albatross that we are carrying, to release it and completely let it go. Ask the coming board to help you after all the efforts that you've been making to do this on your own. I know that made a difference for Los Angeles, because although it's still smoldering, but the fires are not where they were. Past Wednesday, it has subsided. And the part that I want to say here that's also extremely important for me to say, I want to thank all of you, including Janice, who was the one that asked a week ago from this Sunday for us to do a connection like this. I want to thank all of you, because it wasn't just me and my Melchizedek staff stepping in. It was also all of you stepping up as your own Melchizedek self to the entrainment that was radiating from me, that allowed for the support and the shift in the karma, the collective karma of Los Angeles, that caused everything to begin to calm down. And if the karmic board can do it for the entire collective and something as complex as the city of Los Angeles, the karmic board can do it for you and your own spiritual and physical and emotional conundrum.
Pierre, could I just say that there's a very significant bit of information for me, because I've identified programs that I wanted to release that are part of the karma maybe that I'm carrying, but I seem not to be successful in releasing those. So will they work with me to find a way to release them?
They will assist.
Uh-huh.
they will cause an inside a breakthrough, and they will cause it to dissolve.
Oh,
Because
oh,
you've been trying for so long, and sometimes the term that Carlos Castaneda used to use in his book, he called it recapitulation. The term that I'm going to use now is going to sound a little bit vulgar, but it's regurgitation. You're bringing the same thing back, not because you haven't done the work, but because you're so familiar with the identity of the disempowerment that that's where you go. And you don't allow yourself the grace to move into a different state of consciousness. It's habits that will cause all of that to shift for you.
hmm,
The divine director is a cosmic being. It's a trans universal being.
wow.
Its power, it's genderless, but its power is beyond anything that you and I can comprehend. And all of the other female member of that board are all there to assist situation like us where a lot of effort are put in. And we still have certain glue trap we're still stuck on, and we don't understand why we can't get out of it.
I want to make one other comment, if I may.
So
If and this is going to sound like some kind of false modesty, and believe me, it's not, but I cannot take credit just for reminding you of your own work. When, when I suggested or asked if we could do a collective connection to the fire as an entity, as a consciousness, like we did for the hurricanes in Japan and the Super Sandy in New York, it was not me that was, it was your work. I was just remembering it. So I cannot take credit for that just by by telling you, remember, Pierre?
well, you know what, Janice, it takes a village.
Yeah,
And I have to say to you, it didn't come to my consciousness to do this. And sometimes you need a mirror on the outside to remind you, okay, that we could possibly do this. And in my awareness, it didn't come at all. I was just witnessing this. I'm very sad. I'm so depressed. I'm saying gate gate paragate for them, but it didn't occur to me because when you come together, you create an energy system. As you know, my torsion field overlap your torsion field and the next person torsion field. You create a collective field that's so much more powerful than the sum of the parts, and that can dramatically change things. And that's the reason why we have to gather in groups of 12 or more, because it creates that kind of like compounded benefit and repair. So I was not, and the reason I'm not aware of this, again, it's the work of the archon. It creates a partial amnesia. You don't have access to the information anymore. And it takes somebody else to remind you, oh, we could do this. And the moment you said it, it clicked in. I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely.
I understand. That what you were talking about with the karmic board, um, I don't remember that in the evening we were connecting with the fires or with Gaia and the elementals, that we called upon the karmic board to assist in the management of the collective karma of Los Angeles or Southern California. Would that be part of an additional process that we should consider?
We did, I did call them.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't.
You don't remember, you're not conscious of it, but take a look at the recording. I have it on the group, the YouTube stuff. Um, listen to it again. But we call upon, I may have called upon them twice, I think.
Oh, I was a bit out of it that night
Yes,
trying to
yes, I know you had a call. I understand you had a call, but I
get.
called upon them twice. Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes, yes. And so yes, and I can tell you, what's the? It's very hard to explain into word when the alignment, everything aligned. It was not a one shot thing that you make a connection, blah blah blah, and it's done. It was a multi steps thing. But my Melchizedek self knew exactly what it was doing. And once it was all done, I was in awe um, of that flow and how the energy moved from one place to the next, to the next, to the next, to lead to that conclusion.
Like you said, for the torsion field, mm, the succession, it is important to build upon the previous one to get to the 12th.
Yes, yes. And it started with the invocation, the prayers first, and then the invocation to connection to the spiritual hierarchy and then the comic board was called, and then there was then I think after that was anyway, it's all in the recording because it's all been recorded. But there is a very specific frequency and vibration that connects to this that can help. For me, the takeaway is not only the fact that my higher self came through and was able to facilitate all of this with your help, with everybody that was participating in the call, all of your help. But the more important thing for me is the remembrance of the value of calling the comic board.
Mhm. Is there follow-up that we should be doing?
Um, you should follow up with the comic board for yourself now at this point.
Okay.
You should follow up with the comic board for yourself because all of us have things that we are stuck on and that seems not to be able to be resolved. And it could be that because a lot of time you have to understand with the way karma work. A lot of time the karma is not yours. It's connected to someone else that you care for or that's in your life. It's not your karma, but by codependence and association with other people, it's their karma. But because you're in it, it flows, it overlaps onto you. And the karmic board will take all of this into consideration.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's important for us to understand this because there are so many times my client comes in and they have these problems, particularly now. I have this problem, blah, 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 and so on. And I'm energetically listening to them. And when I'm going to surrender with my ability to listen, I'm like, but this is not your karma. Well, I care for my family and my son or my daughter, and I will take a bullet for them, blah, blah, blah. And so they're absorbing someone else's problem. And that's where the situation, although it's not theirs, but they are willing to sacrifice themselves for the false pity for the sacrifice.
Oh, yeah, all kinds of layers on that.
Yes, yes, we all are doing it because we've been domesticated by the church, by all kinds of things to do this. I know I have. And it's a question of realizing this and saying, okay, this thing is so old. My mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother's been doing this. There's an epigenetic thing of all of us doing the same thing.
Mm.
And it's so big, I need advanced spiritual help. Therefore, the comic board.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Now, I have to say here, karma is not just negative. There's also positive karma, where streaks of good luck or good fortune and all kind of benefit can come to us. And it's now going to be the test for good karma is that it's what you do with this incredible gift and benefit that comes toward you. Do you share it with others? Do you share it in a way that doesn't try to encroach in someone else's will and volition? Do you respect their sovereignty? And do you attempt to share your blessings with others without interfering? Because sometimes somebody is going through a streak of bad karma, and you try to intercede by sharing stuff with them, and it is their part of their correction is for them to suffer, because that appearance of suffering is going to help temper their consciousness and awake them. It's like the alcoholic saying, you have to hit bottom, right? You have to hit bottom, and once you hit bottom, then you can begin to rise up. So again, your wisdom and your intuition will guide you to know that if I'm giving to this person at this moment, it's their karma. I'm going to interfere with something really big for them, and their negative karma is going to fall upon me. We mean well as healers, as intuitives. We mean well a lot, but we sometimes are interfering with the administration of divine justice and the administration of what the Kami board have declared. And because we're interfering, we interfere and we we carry other people's burden with us. God does not want us to do any of this. Most of the time, what you need to do when other people are suffering is for you. I give to charity and everything else. That's not what I'm saying. Is that sometimes you see somebody suffering and you're like, oh my God, I need to do something personally for them. Blah blah blah. I feel so sorry. And it's not just empathy. You actually absorb their burden, and then you begin to be sick. You begin to feel discombobulated. You begin to. I'm a healer, and when my mother became ill, it became very clear to me that I couldn't do any more physical healing on her because she was willing to give it to me, and I was willing to take all of it. Every time I did the healing for her for the next 3 days or 4 days, I am sick as a dog. I am completely out. I have to cancel all my appointments. I am done. What I ended up doing is that I was doing remote for her, and the remote could not last any more than 15 minutes to have a detachment. But hands-on healing, I couldn't do it on her. The moment I touched her, she went, and for me, she's my mom. I took everything in. I took everything. As big as my energy is, I can take this burden. I can take a bullet for you. You've done so much for me for my entire life. I owe you everything. I'm going to take this. So we have to be very careful that we allow people to move to the karma, and because sometimes what we are seeing as a temporarily a discomfort or pain or suffering is what's necessary for them to get and comprehend a greater lesson. So before you do this, like even for this healing that I did for Los Angeles, I'm glad it's from Sunday until Wednesday, because it gave me time to say the Ho'oponopono to the city of Los Angeles, to all of this, so that I would disconnect and have the wisdom and not absorb that stuff, not make it mine. Any other questions or comments?
I think that was a very important point. I want to just rephrase it or repeat it. If you're taking on taking someone's pain away from them, and it's preventing them from learning from that pain or that challenge or the trauma, whatever they're experiencing. They are missing then the opportunity to grow through it. So, as hard as it is for us, many of us, to witness others suffering, that it may be the best thing for them to allow them to find their way and offer only the supportive energy around them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't mean if somebody's hungry, I'm not going to help feed them. It simply means that I'm not energetically absorbing like I was doing with friends and family members, just taking their stuff.
Right, right. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Wonderful.
Mhm. Oh, Pierre,
Yes.
if someone like Kuan Yin, she chose to do, I mean, explain the difference between, for
Yes.
me.
Yes. 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 Okay. Kuan Yin is something special. She's a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva
Okay,
is a being who has chosen not to fully ascend, but to remain behind. She hears the suffering, and her name, Kuan Yin, means she who hears the suffering of the world. So the cry or the suffering of the world. So what she does is that she takes the burden of everyone that's around us and she takes it back into light. She does not take the karma.
okay. Mhm.
She's a member of the karmic board as well. She does not take the karma. She's
Okay.
she hears everything,
Mhm.
and she can intercede by accelerating. And the way the karmic board works, and including her, she finds a way to bring into your life an acceleration of the karma, which means you find a way, for example, financially, a job or an opportunity for you to get the money that you need so that you're unblocked to where you are. She finds a way to give you a spiritual insight or breakthrough emotionally or psychologically to make you realize I'm not responsible for this. I don't need to keep carrying this. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yes, I do. Uh-huh.
It's not
Okay, thank you.
she doesn't take the burden and carries it.
Mhm.
This is the way the karmic board actually works as well.
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, let us take a 5-minute break and then we'll do the closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you notice. And the guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to gift you their shields of light and protection and a band of neutrality. If you are ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively and let the energy of the first guardian begin in the core of the earth, counter-rotating, rising to the bottom of your feet, passing through you, exiting outside of your head, and going to source, and creating all around you a Torsion field of light and neutrality. The axis above your head extends. Be gone, time and space. The axis above your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian coming in from source, rotating clockwise, passing through you, dropping through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the third guardian, counter-rotating, beginning in the core of the earth, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through you, exiting outside of your head, and releasing all around you into source, the torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the top of your begone time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts out the energy of the fourth guardian, rotating clockwise, coming from source, passing through the top of your head, moving through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian, coming from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, passing through the bottom of your feet, moving through your core, exiting outside of your head, and going into source, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the sixth guardian, coming from source while rotating clockwise, passing through the top of your head, moving through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the seventh guardian, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through you, exiting outside of your head, and going into source while creating all around you the torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 8 guardian cascading down from source. Moving as it rotates clockwise through the top of your head, passing through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, going to the core of the earth and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the night guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through you, exiting outside of your head, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 10 guardian cascading down from source while rotating clockwise, moving through the top of your head, passing through your core, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the 11 guardian, counter-rotating, coming from the core of the earth, passing to the bottom of your feet, moving through you, exiting outside of your head, and going into source while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 12th guardian coming from source, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of your head, passing through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and creating all around you. The torsion field of neutrality. Beyond time and space, observe the 12 counter rotating axes that are aligning you in spiritual rectitude and verticality. To the celestial axis and the rod of Melchizedek. We call forth the karmic board, the divine director, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Pallas Athena, Lady Nada, Lady Portia, Lady Justice, and Elohim Cyclopia. And we ask the karmic board for an acceleration in the resolution, the equitable, just, and paced resolution of all karma. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Peter. That's a good start. I think it'll unfold from here.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you all for being with us today and for listening in. If you're listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. On YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you next week. Blessings, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Love you all.
Good night, everyone.